Welcome back. My name is Yvonne Stanberry. Last time I introduced myself to you. Today we will hear from Cleveland. Cleveland, let's start from the very beginning. How did you get your name?
Well, Yvonne, thank you for having me here. It's good to be here. How did I get my name? My name, Stanberry, came from my father, of course, but my first name, Cleveland, came from my mother. It's a long story. My mother had twin children, a girl and a boy, and before I was born, I think the boy and girl might have been 5 or so years old, and the boy died. And the boy's name was Clive, and she wanted to name me in remembrance of him, so she named me Cleveland. Only when I was in high school, and I got some assignment to go figure out the meaning of our names in school. That's when I did the research and realized that the words Clive and Cleveland came from the same Anglo-Saxon base, which means stone or rock. So essentially, she ended up naming me really the same name that my brother, who died as a child, had. And that was the word that is tied to rock or stone. So that's the story. That's how I came to be. And my name came to be the one that you called me.
Cleveland.
You got it.
That's a very interesting story. Good story, I must say. So, where did Cleveland start his journey?
I started my journey directly out of the womb into the world. It happened in a small, tiny village on top of one of the highest mountains in Jamaica called the Mocha Mountains. I was born on top of the Mocha Mountains in a village called Thompson Town. That's where I was born, and that's where I spent many formative years in Thompson Town, Clarendon, Jamaica. I went to a basic school. A basic school is the equivalent of what is called in North America kindergarten. So I think I might have gone there when I was 4 or 5 years old or something like that. I think we spent 1 or 2 years. I have no recollection of basic. I shouldn't say that. I don't remember how long I stayed in basic school. What I can remember is one day while I was in basic school, I was found sleeping at my desk. And the teacher told me to go outside and just run around in the yard. The play field was beautiful, wonderfully manicured grass. And I went outside and I found a kite. And oh, I had a field day. I flew that kite it was the last time a kite could be flown in the world. Little did I know the teacher was monitoring me, and she sent another student to come and get me. So to my distress and my unhappiness, I had to get back in class. I did not sleep for the remainder of the day. So I went to that basic school, and then from there I went to the Thompson Town Primary School. That I had an amazing time there. I liked playing soccer with our own handmade balls during the break and lunchtime, and we did route learning. And one of my earliest memories was that we would need to do the times table in Jamaica. I don't know if it's still done. 2 times 1, 2 times 2, 2 times 4, 2, 3, 6, and so on and so forth. And it was route learning. And I don't think I always knew what was 7 times 7. So I would just call out the first numbers. 7 times 7. I don't repeat the last one. 7 times 8. And I was enthusiastic. I was never ever once called upon in class, as they would often do, to ask, what is the answer? Because I was so enthusiastic. I think I tricked the teachers, them believing that I knew what was going on. But I did not. I perhaps figured out what was going on by the time I was in grade 4 or grade 5. Anything else you want to know about me?
Yeah, what kind of student were you? A quiet student, a star student?
Well, the kind of student I was is who I am. I was never quiet. I was always Mr. Extrovert. Playing on the play field very loudly. If I am called in class to answer a question, I am ready. I liked acting and doing recitations. I did quite a lot of that in my early years at church, through Sunday school and so forth. So I loved school. I must say that my early days on the journey of learning started at home. My mother taught me how to read. There were some books I remember to this day, Ladybird books, and you would have a bug on it or a car or something like that, and then the name of that picture would be on it, car. And then she would teach me that CAR is car. So I knew I was identifying letters before I went to basic school. What is today? It's kindergarten. I don't know if I could read before I went to basic school. I have no recollection. But I know I was reading in primary school, which would have been grade 1. So I suspect I was maybe 6-year-old in grade 1.
Yes.
Yeah. So I enjoyed school. It happened before I went to school that I got this bug that, hey, those funny scribblings on papers mean something. And I was, and one of the first thing, at least in my era, one of the first thing you learn to spell is your own name.
That's true.
It would be hammered into you, and my name is a little long. I think it has 9 letters in it, a little long for a young child. So I had to learn the first 3 letters, CLE, and I would run around and just pronounce that and memorize that. And then once I got that down, then my mom would say the other parts, and then she would say VEL, and I go ahead, VEL. Then she says, hey, put them together, and I would say CLEVEL, and I run around and I say that forever. And then I suppose after a week or 2, I would figure out the A and D at the end. So that was the bug that bit me. That's my very earliest days of learning. I clearly remember, though, that by grade 5, I was immersed in learning. I loved reading. Those days we had a community library, but we also had, maybe on a Thursday, a library van came from the major city, from Maypen.
That's right.
And it would bring books.
Yep.
And there I'd be heading off to the library where the van is to pick up my Ladybird books. Oh, it was joy.
Okay.
So I loved reading. Now, I heard you said you left school 1 and you went to school 2. Maybe you left Mitchelltown School and then you went to Lioneltown School.
Right.
I too left school. I did the common entrance exam that you did, and you successfully passed and went to one of the most expensive, richest high schools in Jamaica. I too, like you, I did the common entrance, and let's get a drum roll for that. Yay! I failed it. So my mother, being the wise woman she is, said that boy is not going to pass the common entrance exam so he can get to high school. So she moved me from Thompsontown Primary School to Frankfield Primary School, where I had to board for a year in grade 6. Why Frankfield? Frankfield was a feeder school that took all students from grade 6 into what was then called the Frankfield High School. Frankfield Comprehensive High School. Today it is called the Edwin Allen High School. So that's how I got into high school. But before that, you asked what kind of a student I was.
Yeah.
When I was in Frankfield, the principal then and the vice principal said that I was a star student.
Nice.
I did very well. My brain, something clicked in my brain.
Okay.
I used to wonder to myself, why do the students who I see in high school, why are they studying? Because I never needed to study. Everything the teacher taught in class, I just remembered.
Okay.
I was a sponge. Don't know why. But I clearly remember grade 6, something clicked. It could be that it's a different environment. It was a bigger town, not a city, but it's a bigger town that had fire station and police station and movie theater. In the rural parts that I came from, you didn't have anything like that.
Okay. Okay, I see. That sounds good. So what happened after high school?
After high school. So let me tell you about what happened in high school. So I went to Frankfield High School, and I think I did pretty well there until I eventually became head boy of my high school in grade 11. Unlike your school, your rich school, my high school went from grade 7 to grade 11.
Okay.
We did not have what is called sixth form.
Okay.
So I left my high school and then went and do what would be called sixth form. I went to Excelsior Community College.
Okay.
After high school. And why did I go there? To do A-levels. So I did my O levels. I'm dating myself. Yes, I'm pretty old. I did O levels. That doesn't exist today in Jamaica. And I was successful in passing those O levels in English, mathematics, physics, chemistry, electrical installation, and some others. I don't remember them all. Physics being my preferred subject, with Skip, Dennis Onash, who was my physics teacher then. And I went to ExEd, which is Excelsior Community College, colloquially known as ExEd. That's on Mountain View Avenue in Kingston.
Okay, sounds good. And after Excelsior High School?
So after doing my A levels at Excelsior, had all intentions to go to university. So I applied to the University of the West Indies, Mona campus in Jamaica, to study computer science. And lo and behold, I got accepted.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you. And drum roll, please. It was awesome back in those days. I got accepted, and that would have been about 1984. So I should have started October 1984. So drum roll. I got accepted. Aren't you excited?
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you very much. I didn't attend.
Oh.
I was too poor. I didn't have the means to even pay the tuition fee, so I did not.
Oh, okay.
And I got accepted into a program which they said I must count myself lucky and fortunate to be able to get into that program, because the program was computer science. And they said normally they do not take students directly from A levels into computer science. They like to take people from industry to get into some computer science program.
Okay.
So what did I do? I deferred my application to another year and say, hey, I will be there in another year. So what I did then, I had to find a way to eke out an existence and living. So I got a job with the Bank of Nova Scotia in Halfway Tree. And I worked there. Second year came after I applied. I deferred my application again just because of life and family circumstances and finances. And I did not apply. I deferred my application for 3 years and ended up not ever attending the University of the West Indies, Mona campus.
Oh, so sorry to hear that. So you said your bank was located in Halfway Tree. Where is that? Is that in Clarendon as well?
Oh, no. That was smack in the middle of Halfway Tree, opposite Holy Childhood High School. That was in Kingston.
Oh, okay.
In Kingston. To be honest, it's really St. Andrew, Jamaica.
Okay.
But it is the corporate area of the city area of Kingston, which is jointly, it's two joint cities, St. Andrew and Kingston.
Okay.
But anyway, not to get too complicated, that was right at the intersection almost of Hope Road and Hagley Park Road and Constant Spring Road. That's where I worked for a number of years. It might have been 3-4 years. And then I went into life insurance. I did the life insurance examinations that were administered from some institution in Canada.
Oh, interesting.
And I left the bank and then went to selling life insurance, which was pretty financially fruitful and beneficial compared to the salaries I was making at the bank, which was extremely good salaries, by the way, that I was making at the bank. But that was just as a side note. That's how my life trajectory.
Okay, so listening to your journey from high school to the community college called Excelsior into working. So far, you've worked at 2 different places. So how long were those 2 job stints for? How many years after Excelsior?
I am going to say, so certainly I went to Scotiabank in 84. So those two job stints combined were 7 years.
Wow. So that's 7 years and still not able to attend university to do.
Oh, wow, you're good. I see where you're going with that. I never thought about it in this way. Ever.
Wow.
Never thought that 7 years passed and I didn't go to university. No, I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't think about it. I see where you're going with it. Yes, that was 7 years.
So how did you feel about it during that time? I mean, that's 7 years and you've tried, successfully got accepted for 2 years in a row and still didn't make the transition into university.
I really wanted to find a way to
Okay.
get into university. So it was not all rosy and happy. I still had connections with all of my friends who I went to Excel with. Excelsior Community College, where we did A-levels, and many of them went on to university and then graduated successfully. Some did medicine, some were chemists, some did other jobs, some ended up in the tourist industry, going into places like the Bahamas and working in the industry in the Bahamas and doing consulting and so forth. So many people. But there were people in medicine, there were people in law, there were people in the automotive, I shouldn't say, chemical industry, like where they process oil and gas and those kinds of things. So what that did for me, now that you ask me, I never thought about it in this way, is that I had a broad spectrum of connections across industries in Jamaica.
Awesome.
So I remember at one point in time there was a gasoline shortage, like gas price at the pump. Some gas stations are closed. I don't know what was happening with importation of crude oil to process or gasoline to come into Jamaica. But for me, life was somewhat easy because it was just a matter of picking up the phone and calling a friend of mine to say, "Hey, Forbes, how is it going over there? I need some gas for my car."
That's
Was
very
wonderful.
fortunate for you.
So it was wonderful that way. In another way, when I started selling life insurance, for those who are familiar with the life insurance industry, you really start with your friends, those who you know, and they become your first clients. And then they introduce you to other people who they know, who you don't know. And that's how it went on. So that helped me as well, that I could go into these various industries that I knew people were in, people who were now pharmacists, and I knew them from when we did A-levels, people who were working with many of the drinks companies, the D&Gs and so forth in Jamaica. I could go in and have conversations with them and not only sell them life insurance, but sell their friends who work at these companies life insurance. So in a sense, even though I didn't get to go to university, the university network that I had was helpful to me.
Beautiful.
And because these people went to university, they were in the highest paying jobs in Jamaica. So it was a good segue. You brought this out of me. Never thought about it this way before.
Okay, that's good.
Never.
That's what interviews do, I believe.
I think, I think I know where it's coming from. You studied HR, and that's why you did a course called Interviewing Techniques, didn't you?
That is correct, yes.
But you're practicing it. And now you're bringing it out. You're bringing it out. I didn't even know because I've never said this to anyone before.
Okay, that's good. So you did a total of 7 years between banking and life insurance. So what happened after that?
While I was doing life insurance, I then had the opportunity to migrate and to leave Jamaica. So I will tell you what happens after that. Perhaps in a future episode we can talk about that. I know you gave me a specific time to talk to you, and I know I am long-winded. I know that. I admit my hands are up, guilty as charged. So I won't get into it now because I won't end. It's an exciting story.
Okay, Cleveland. It was good hearing your journey, and we'll definitely continue with this interesting twist and turn of your life story. So next time we'll talk about your journey, how everything finally comes together.
Yeah, I agree with you. We can talk about it next time because sometimes, that I don't know where we will get the time to do it, but It's never too late. Sometimes.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.